Hey all, welcome to another episode of the Cruising with Cheryl and Eric show. I'm Cheryl, this is Eric.
But wait, there's more.
And this is actually a topic very near and dear to my heart. Ways to escape the crowds, because I don't like crowds.
Well,
I love cruising, but I don't like crowds, which is kind of a interesting situation.
yeah, stay in your room.
Over the years, I've found a bunch of ways that alleviate some of my irritation at crowds. So I figured, we would share them with you today.
Although I don't get as aggravated as you do.
No, you've got much more patience than I do.
With some things.
So first, know that there are some times where crowding is pretty much an inevitability. Things like, or times like embarkation, disembarkation, deck parties, formal night parties, parades, tendering, and of course, the Lido deck on sea days. So having said that, I've still come across some ways that I feel alleviate that stress that, that I get when I've got to wait in line with a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Pick your cruise ship. Many of the larger ships, like the mega cruise ships, they do have systems in place, for lack of a better word, to manage the amount of people in a certain area at a certain time to kind of ease that congestion. Like the Oasis class ships by Royal Caribbean, I find them to be, they feel less crowded to me, even though there's 5,000 plus people on it. Like the, what was it, the Allure?
Yeah.
The Allure, I feel like we went on the Allure, and then maybe 6 months later we went on the Adventure. No, that wasn't the Allure. Was it the Oasis?
No, it was the Allure.
So the Allure holds roughly 2,000 more people than the Adventure does, but the Adventure felt more crowded to me.
Well,
and,
the Adventure.
I don't mean the Canadian and New England cruise. I'm talking about the ABC Island cruise.
Right, I understand that, but that's because it was colder while we were on the first trip with the Adventure. Everybody was inside.
That's why I said I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the ABC Islands where it was nice and hot. I still think that felt more crowded than our Caribbean cruise on the Allure. But anyway, and as a general rule, premium cruise lines will have more space per passenger than the bigger ships. So, if they're within your budget, look at Celebrity, look at Virgin, Holland America, those lines, because they tend to have more open space than, I'll just say Carnival, NCL, and Royal Caribbean. So.
But if you really want to avoid the crowds when cruising, small luxury cruise lines are your best bet. These smaller cruise ships have significantly less passengers on board with the high passenger to crew ratio. Plus, these cruise ships tend not to attract families, so generally they are more quiet and subdued.
I agree.
And again, not saying that families can't be fun. It's just that if you're older like him, you just kind of you're down to relax. So yeah.
So next up, choose your cruise date and itinerary wisely. Think about, choose cruise dates that are less likely to be at full occupancy. So avoid those peak times like spring break, Christmas, New Year's, times like that. And if you can, choose the longer cruises. So, a 7-night cruise is a lot of fun, but, I opt for 8, 9, 10, 12-night cruises when I can, because fewer kids are going to be on that. So, and in general, it's going to be an older clientele who, they tend to be less rude in general. Yeah.
Well, unless you have your children are homeschooled.
Well, that's true. That's true.
But then you have the dining strategies. Mm-hmm. Skip the main dining room, also known as the MDF, on formal nights in the first night of the cruise, as they tend to be busier. Request a table for two for a quieter dining experience. Dine earlier or later to avoid peak dining times. Consider booking specialty restaurants on the first night of your cruise. We tend to like sitting with people we don't know.
We do. And we like the earlier dining, even though the earlier dining is pretty much always, not sold out, but always booked. But if if you want to be around less people, then you choose that 7:30 or 8 o'clock or 8:30 dining option where there's, the room is only half full, because not a lot of people, most people don't like eating that late.
Or you just yell cockroach and call it a day. I'm kidding.
Embarkation day. One of those times where it's harder to avoid those crowds, but there are a couple of strategies to, make it more manageable. Arrive, either as early, as like do your best to get the first booking time. Like, a lot of them reach like either 10:30 or 11 a.m. Or get the 3 o'clock embarkation time or the 3:30 embarkation time, so that you're not waiting in as big lines. If you can, consider purchasing early embarkation packages. Most cruise lines these days have, like the key or different thing, fun. I don't remember, but different. For an extra $50 per person, you can board before everybody else. That kind of thing. And last note on embarkation day, if possible, avoid the buffet for lunch on embarkation day, because everybody gets on board and goes to the buffet and sits in the buffet for 2 or 3 hours
or falls asleep.
Yeah, that too. So yeah, avoid the buffet if you can.
Number 5, discover the quiet spots on a ship. Every cruise ship has quiet spots away from the main action. Move a bit away from the pool, live bands, or DJ on the pool deck. Look for secluded areas such as a buffet table after closing, library, card rooms, lounges, and bars at the aft of the cruise ship.
Another option is to wake up early. Early mornings on the ship, besides giving you beautiful sunrises, they're pretty tranquil and quiet because most people don't get up any earlier than they absolutely have to. So if you're an early bird, you can have, it could feel like you can have the entire Lido deck to yourself, and even, you can probably even get a lounge chair, but yeah.
Number 7, cruise port days and excursions. Consider staying on the ship while most passengers go ashore. Alternately, leave the ship early and return early to avoid crowds. That's really a good tip, but a lot of people are catching on, so be careful. You might want to just leave the ship. When booking the shore excursions, opt for small group tours offered by your cruise line or local tour operator. Consider off-the-beaten-path experiences instead of heading to the busiest spot for tourists.
Escape to your cabin. Choose a balcony cabin if you can to relax in the privacy of your own space. Consider booking a suite, especially on those ships that have like the ship within a ship concept, like Norwegian has the Havens, Liberty has the Retreat, and MSC has the Yacht Club. Those areas, arguably, you could arguably not leave those areas for the entire time you're on the ship. They've got a restaurant or two on board. They've got a bar or two inside. A lot of them have their own pools. So, and they limit the number of people that are allowed in those areas. So if you can afford it, that could be a good option.
Sea days. This is a particular color. It's a good idea to avoid the main pool during peak hours, which is typically in the late morning and early afternoon. Instead, try using the pool during the early morning or in the late afternoon. Late afternoon is more of an it's more of an ideal time to visit the Lido deck. By this point in the day, many passengers have either gone back to the cabins or indoors for other activities, or gone to eat.
Elevators.
Oh.
Elevators can be a nightmare on cruise ships at times. Do your best to bypass the crowded elevators. If you can, take the stairs. Like a lot of times, Cheryl and I, we don't go up the stairs too often, more than maybe a deck or two. But like if we're up on the Lido deck and we got to go down to the promenade, a lot of times we'll just take the stairs and take our time and walk slowly. Also, when you're coming back on the ship after a day in port, when you can, don't use the elevators right there where you get back on the ship. Get on the ship, walk down the hallway to if you get back on the ship on the forward end of the ship, walk to the aft walk to the back of the ship, use those elevators because nobody's using them because everybody's using the forward elevators.
And just be prepared to be at the elevators for a little while.
Right.
Book a thermal spa package. Many cruise ships offer thermal spa packages that provide a relaxing and less crowded environment. This is an excellent way to unwind during your cruise.
Another option would be to book an adult-only exclusive access area. Certain cruise ships have an extra kind of, that you can splurge on. I think like the Vibe Beach Club on NCL, the Retreat on Princess, or the Retreat Cabana rentals on Holland America. These are adult-only areas, and they limit the number of people in them. So it costs extra, but if you want to be able to relax around a pool and not have 500 people enjoying it with you, might want to think about doing some of these extras. And last but not least, you want to take this one? Or you
Zig
want me to?
another zag. Go ahead.
Do the opposite of what most cruise passengers are doing. So if everybody's heading to the pool on a sea day, explore some of the other areas of the ship. If everybody's heading to dinner in the evening, head for the hot tub instead. Skip a show and head to the hot tub. Things like that. Just anticipate where most people are going to be going. Go the opposite. If you have any other tips on how to escape the crowds, leave us a comment. I always love to learn more. More
tips and
tricks to get away from the crowds.
Yes.
Last but not least, now that you've found some peace and quiet on a crowded ship, check out this video that we did recently on 35 things you can do for free while you're on that cruise.
Yes.